And we are live! Welcome back to Please Don't Make a Scene, höll jag på att säga. Aha! This is not Please Don't Make a Scene. This is Please Don't Livestream. It's the show where we don't really talk about movies anymore. We just speculate. And today, we're going to take it even further. And we're making up our own movies. Yes. Why talk about the current events when you can just make your own? Huh? So, yes, as you can see, the title of this episode, or this stream, is The Elevator Pitch. We all know what an elevator pitch is. It's when you know you catch the greasy producer in the elevator, and you say, I have this great idea for a movie. If you just would give me a chance, Mr. Weinstein. And he says, yes, follow me into my hotel room. Oh, no, we're going to stay in the elevator. And you have, well, in the elevator, you have like, what, 30, 40 seconds? But we're going to give ourselves a little bit more time than that. But what we're doing is, we're doing elevator pitches for movies. We're going to pitch a brief premise. We're going to pitch a director, a writer. I don't know how ambitious any of you have been, but you can also add like producers, cinematographers, and what have you. And the only prerequisite is that it's based on an adapted work that hasn't been filmed before. So a comic book, video game, a regular book, a life story, a biopic, anything like that, as long as it hasn't been made before. And well, we all have prepared our pitches. So I say, unless any of you have anything to add, we just we get to it.
Let's start then.
Yeah. So. We all, well, I know a few of us, I don't know if all of us have it, but we had a couple of stories that we wanted to pitch. So we're going to do like an honorable mention. I don't know how you say it in English, a bubblare.
Honorable, you can say honorable mention.
Yeah.
Runner-up.
Yeah, we have like a couple of us have a runner-ups. So we're going to start with those, which are going to be like very short pitches.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through those, and then we're going to do our main pitches after that. But that being said, let's start. And the first one to pitch is Danny. What is your runner-up?
My runner-up is the Swedish novel Assisted Living, or as it's called in Swedish, Äldreomsorgen I Övre Kågedalen. It is a novel that is about a 30-year-old kid that lives with his 90-year-old grandfather. There's a Nazi. He hates women and he hates immigrants. He's your average Swedish guy in the north of Sweden. The novel is written in Skelleftemål, which is a dialect that is spoken in the northeast of Sweden.
Sort of like Swedish Cajun?
Yeah, I would say. They even have a register in the back of the book to explain all the dialectical words they have. But the book is a fantastic reading. I remember reading it because a friend told me, oh, this is like watching Solo by Pasolini, but reading it. And the book has a lot of child abuse and about violence. And I thought this would be a perfect movie for the Swedish director Ruben Östlund to make. Östlund. Because I think he could give it some justice and he would make a great movie about this book. He could give the violence and all the horrible acts in the book some humanity, and at the same time he would keep the rawness, because he has a very special way to try and face such emotions. So that would be my runner-up. Assisted Living and directed by Ruben Östlund. I could not think about what 30-year-old child would be, because that would be a fucking horrible task to play.
Yeah. All right. Just quickly, did you have a screenwriter?
I think Swedish screenwriter, I don't have any good checkup, but I think Ruben Östlund is a great screenwriter as well, so he probably could adapt it himself.
Okay. All right.
He could take help by the author, Nikanor Teratologen. It's a pseudonym.
Well, so. Sure. That's usually what they do. But so yeah, that was your runner-up.
Yeah.
Christopher, I'm not sure. Did you have a runner-up?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay. Let's go.
I mean, to preface, I haven't decided which one is the runner-up and which one is my primary pick. So okay. I'm just gonna pick the one that's at the top of my notepad, and that's the runner-up now.
All right.
So it's a book called Off to Be a Wizard by Scott Meyer.
Okay.
It's about a guy. I'm thinking Ansel Elgort as the main character.
All right.
Yeah, he's like a regular, normal guy working IT support, and as when he's home alone, he usually just like for fun hacks like government websites. And he finds somewhere when he's around hacking the configuration file of the world, where every person and object is in that file, and he finds himself in that file, and he finds like his bank account balance, and he finds his geographical point in the world, and he realizes when he changes those things that those things actually changes. So when he changes his coordinates, he's teleported somewhere else. And he changes his bank account balance to like 1 billion. And he gets that. And really quickly in the book, he is hunted by... He gets hunted by like FBI and government people. So he decides, I'm going to go to the medieval England and pretend I'm a wizard.
All right.
So he goes to medieval England with this file, be able to edit it, and decides to be a wizard.
All right, that sounds pretty good. I'm getting like vague Adjustment Bureau vibes. Do you remember that movie?
No. What did he say?
The one where Matt Damon has to run away from like angels that control the world. The Adjustment Bureau. I
don't think I've seen that.
All right, it's a pretty good movie.
It's pretty good.
It's sort of the same thing. Sort of.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, the twist. Yeah, I'm gonna, because this is like 4 chapters in. The twist is when he comes there, he is confronted by another wizard, and he realizes, well, he's not the first person who found this file and went there to become a wizard.
Oh.
so there's like a gang of geeky wizards from throughout time, from like the 50s to the like 2000s, pretending to be wizards in medieval England.
What was it called?
Off to be a Wizard.
Off to be a Wizard.
By Scott Meyer. I'm thinking also, because he gets like this mentor figure, one of these like older guys, one of the first people who actually found the file. And I was thinking he could be played by Jonathan Pryce. I think would make a good... A good... Because he's like a quirky, older, grumpy...
Oh, I know that. Okay, yeah.
And, I mean, just because I mean, it was... perfect. I think Edgar Wright would direct it great.
Yeah, and then he's worked with Ansel Elgort before, so
yeah,
it makes sense. All right,
and that's my pitch.
All right, and Gabe, did you have a runner-up?
Yeah, I had 2, but I'm gonna pick the one that would kind of get made, I think.
All right.
Earlier, I was thinking about I should take a Naughty Dog, the part of one of their, from their stable of franchises. Yeah. And I was thinking about first Last of Us, but that's maybe in the works of getting made. It's not confirmed. I think someone bought the rights to it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, hey, maybe Crash Bandicoot could actually get made. So my pitch is make a Crash Bandicoot movie. And I'm thinking, as the voice of Crash, I would use Simon Pegg. So I think you guess where I'm going with the director as well. Yeah. And have Edgar Wright direct that movie.
Well, I gotta ask though, is he gonna have like proper dialogue, or is he just gonna say "whoa"?
No, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna do that "wow" sound.
And also, what is the story?
The story is gonna be like the first game that Dr. Cortex is gonna try taking over the world by doing this super human, humanoid animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, who could play Dr. Cortex? And it's gonna be an animated movie.
Okay.
So, not live action, because that would be kind of crap.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be animated.
And I thought, who could do a good voice for Dr. Cortex? And I thought about Benedict Cumberbatch, actually.
All right.
And I was thinking, you know, all the villains in the games. I was thinking, like, you know, that Gladiator Tiger was.
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe Frost could play him, but then I changed my mind. And you know, the mask, that Ooga Booga mask that he go around. that one is gonna be played by Nick Frost.
Okay.
The thing is gonna be, he does the experiment, and Crash finds out because he's actually quite intelligent for being an animal. So he's gonna try to stop Dr. Cortex.
All right.
There's gonna be, you know, funny and wacky, and basically a PG-13 movie.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right.
Edgar Wright is directing it.
Well, I have runner-up as well, and I'm gonna bring down the mood a little bit, because I was thinking about adapting a book, but it's technically based on a real event, but the book kind of comprises it a lot, and it's Cannibal Island: Death in a Siberian Gulag by I'm not sure how to pronounce this. It's a French name, but it looks like Nicholas Worth. But anyway, it's the story of it takes place in 1930s Russia, where Stalin decides that he wants to clean up the streets. So anyone that he considers an undesirable, which is vagrants, thieves, or just people that, you know, are political dissenters, they are to be removed from Moscow and any like larger cities, and they're going to start an experimental living experiment out in the wilderness of Siberia. So he takes about 30 or 40,000 people, just puts them on a train, drives them out into the wilderness, puts them on a little island in the middle of a river, dumps like I think 30 tons of flour on the beach or the bank, and then puts armed guards around the island and just says, "Now you have to live here." And in his mind, or in their minds, the people that put this together, they thought that maybe they'll make it. They'll figure something out. But the whole thing it collapsed within like weeks, and everyone just turned to cannibalism. There was like rape, murder, and it was just a complete disaster. And those 30,000 people were, I think, like 90% of them were like dead within 6 months, either from starvation or having been eaten by the other people. And it's a terrible story. Just how they thought that this would work. It was basically just, instead of taking care of them and putting them in prison or anything, they just wanted to get rid of them, but they couldn't outright kill them. But they called it an experiment. It was basically an execution. And I thought the director would be the director that made Son of Saul. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, about the guy in Auschwitz who is tasked with like shoveling ashes. Because it's kind of, I had the same aesthetic in mind that movie uses. It's 4:3. It's usually like following Saul around, so you usually see everything from the back of his head, and we would just it would be from the perspective of one of the people on this island, and we would just see the carnage and what the leaders of Russia did to these people. And I also think because he writes most of his movies himself, so I thought he would write it as well. His name is Laszlo Nemes. And that's my pitch for a pretty bleak movie, but I think he could do something interesting with it.
Well, anything to make the Hungarian movie industry to bloom,
yeah,
would be a great idea.
Yeah. So, well, now that we're all sad, let's move on to our main pitches.
Well,
yes, we're gonna start over. So we're gonna go with Danny, then Christopher, then Gabba, and then me.
Well,
this is the main pitch.
I'm gonna be such a self-indulgent guy and take you back to 1995 then. So I'm 50 years old and I hang around a movie site called
Wait. You're 50 years old?
15.
All right.
Man, that sounds like a good movie.
I was just checking.
So I'm 15 and I'm hanging around the Torget, which is like Swedish websites before. They were gathered in places like Passage and Torget. They were like little town squares, and you went to different discussion forums, but it was a discussion forums about movies. And I discussed with a guy that came from the south of Sweden. And we started to talk about movies, and then he started to recommend me books. And he said, you have to read this book called The Starting Gun by Claes Holmström. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like reading books. He was like, you gotta read this. You're gonna love it. The book is about a guy called Robert Englund. Yes, just like the name as the actor that plays Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Robert Englund is a 25-year-old Swedish man. He is competing in triathlon. He works for the political party Ny Demokrati. That was a far right-wing party in the 90s. And he kidnaps young blonde girls to an oil sheik in Saudi Arabia. So this book is about his life. He lives in a houseboat, and he listens to like 80s rock music, like bands like Chameleons and Blue Note. He's a very weird guy, and he can't connect to people. His parent died tragically when he was young, and he does his thing, you know, engage in a political party, and sometimes hang around with his friends, and they're called Fina Fisken, the nice fish. They hang around the restaurant in the posh area of Stockholm, and they sometimes do like different mischievousness. And the book paints up Sweden in the 90s, and I said, if I had would have been a director, this is the movie I wanted to direct. And when I was thinking about it in the 90s, I thought Jonas Karlsson would have been the greatest character of Robert Englund. But now I know who will direct it, who will write it, and who will star in it. I think this would be a great step for Crazy Pictures. I truly believe that the crew of Crazy Pictures could direct this movie. I think they have the vision, because there's going to be some special effects. There is a part in the book where he gets very discouraged and wants to bomb the amusement park Skara Sommarland.
All right.
And there's an action scene between him, an AK-47, and tons of cops. And I believe that Crazy Pictures could direct it, and Robert Englund himself could be played by Kristoffer Nordenroth. He has truly shown that he can lose weight and gain weight. So he has to gain a bit of muscles, because there has to be scenes of a triathlon rally. And I think this is one of the funniest books I've read in the Swedish language. It's never been translated to English. It's been translated to Norwegian and German. But it's a very fun book because it has tons of pop cultural subjects. One of them in the book, it's 10 pages written without punctuation, or it's just written like a huge monologue where he explains the whole plot of Melrose Place.
All right.
And there's I can tell millions of scenes from this book, but one of my favorite scenes in this book is when he meets the hip-hop / movie director Stackabo, and they start arguing. It is probably a really fun part of the book. The whole book is filled with, that is too incredible to exist. But it's so full with stories about him, and the ending, mesmerizing, beautiful.
I don't know if you told us, but is it based on a real person, or is it completely fictional?
It's completely fictional.
Oh, okay.
But all the details in the book, because the author, Claes Holmström, he only wrote 3 books, but he has such an eye for detail. And he knows all the pop culture references that were relevant.
All right.
I think the guys from Den Blomster Tiden Kommer could really make it, because I think it would be a bold move from their side, and it would be a Swedish movie that would pack a punch.
All right. And they were gonna both write and direct it, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds like a project that would.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like something they could make.
Okay.
Make it work, actually, yeah.
What was that, Christopher?
It could work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, Christopher. Your main pitch, or sort of main pitch.
Sort of main pitch. So it's called Mistborn: The Final Empire.
All right.
It's a fantasy book. It's a 6-part series, but I'm only talking about the first book. So it's kind of a low fantasy dystopian world where there's only really rich people and the slaves, mostly.
All right.
And it's all ruled in. It's like this, what do you say? Gray and brown world where there's no flowers. There's nothing. It's always gray outside. Everything is terrible all the time.
Okay. Sounds great.
Yeah, and all this is ruled by the Lord Ruler, I think he's called. He's been in power for like 1,000 years, and he's immortal. And there are some magical elements in the world. Like there are certain powers that certain people have. It's like a bloodline thing. And when you have those powers, you're called a misting, which are you can have small control of people's minds and things like that. And the book is centered around a guy who has been a slave his whole life, and he found out that he have like all these magical powers. Most people only have one, but he has all of them.
Oh.
And it's called, and people like that are called a Mistborn. And he decides this ruler guy, he's going down. So he gathers a team of former slaves and low caste people, with powers to like create this elaborate Ocean's 11 plot to kill this emperor who's been alive for 1,000 years. And that's the movie, sort of. And he also gets an apprentice, and the apprentice is the person we actually follow in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's just like I think she's like 15 girl living on the streets, and she gets dragged into this big plot. And I was thinking she would be played by, I think, Sophie Turner. Because I think she has shown she has a lot of range in Game of Thrones. And
yeah, that's what's her name?
Sansa.
Sansa, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. And she needs to work both as a living on the streets orphan and like a high class lady. So I think she can. I think she has the range for that, both of those. And I think this guy, Kelsior, as he's called, I think that could be played by Keanu Reeves as a downtrodden old slave guy who's now going to overturn rulers.
All right.
I do not know who should be a director, but I think the screenplay should be written by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, wait. Is he the author?
No. He's not the author, but I think he could make a good screenplay out of the book because you have a screenwriter. The author is Brandon Sanders.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like who could direct something like that? Because your mind directly goes to like directors that have made episodes of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It sounds like sort of like that kind of world.
Yeah.
But I don't know directors who...
I was thinking about maybe the Wachowskis. Maybe. If Neil Gaiman wrote the screenplay.
It would be the most beautiful like comeback ever.
Yeah. Or maybe Guillermo del Toro, because he can do no wrong.
Yeah, I was thinking Guillermo del Toro, actually.
All right.
When you put fantasy elements, he has got to go to Guillermo.
At the same time, when you spoke about all the fancy moments, I thought, this sounds like a Princess Bride movie. Why not let Rob Reiner direct it?
No, I think that would be
Princess Bride is
it would be
good.
too lighthearted. It would be too lighthearted.
It is a really dark book. There are like the slaves are used like fodder, more or less.
Yeah.
And
they're not
there's
human at all.
No, exactly. And it has like slaughtering and torture and rape and all those things. So I mean,
all the fun parts.
It's Rob Reiner has made quite a sad, dark movies.
Sure.
Didn't he make A Few Good Men? That movie is a bit dark.
Yeah. So that's my pitch, all in all, really.
All right. I just.
What's the book?
Mistborn: The Final Empire.
All right. I was just thinking. Oh no, I lost the name. Damn it. What's the guy that made 12 Monkeys?
Terry Gilliam.
Oh, Terry Gilliam. Maybe, but
quirky.
Yeah, I think he's a little too much absurdist for this.
Maybe.
This is should be a gritty and kind of like realistic movie.
All right.
So yeah, I would say maybe also Tim Burton when he made Batman.
So Tim Burton in the late 80s, early 90s. The good Tim Burton, yeah.
Maybe that kind, before he added weird trees and everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, if we ever revisit this subject, maybe you'll have a director in mind.
Yeah.
On to Gabba.
Yes. I don't know if anyone of you have, except my brother, of course, has seen the movie The Damned United.
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
Same.
You should watch it, even though if you guys don't like football, it's a really good biopic. Or not really a biopic, but it's of certain events involving a manager having a bad time, basically. But my movie is going to be about one of the most controversial football coaches, I would say, in the history of football. Jose Mourinho, which is a Portuguese trainer that's, if you don't watch football, you probably won't know him, but he's very outspoken and very meticulous in his way of working with teams. And he's a very successful manager. But this movie is going to be called The Special One, and it's going to be about how because he never was because usually football coaches are great players, but he never was a great player, but he always had the right mindset to become a good coach. So this movie is going to be about how he starts his career as a coach by failing as a football player and how he rises to the top. And I was thinking, since The Damned United is a great movie, I was thinking the director should be, I think his name is Tom Hopper?
Yeah.
Tom Hooper.
Yeah, that guy.
Academy Award winner, Tom.
Exactly.
They made King's Speech and fucking Les Miserables. All right.
And the one who's going to write this screenplay then should be Peter Morgan, who he has worked with before in The Damned United, and has also wrote in a bunch of movies. For example, the one is coming out really soon is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, okay.
So and I was thinking to play Jose Mourinho because he's a Portuguese guy, so we have to have someone that looks at least kind of Latin. So I was thinking about Pedro Pascal to play him.
Oh, I have no idea who that is.
Pedro Pascal, if you have seen Narcos or Game of Thrones, he plays Officer Javier Peña in Narcos.
He's in Kingsman: The Golden Circle as well.
He's the Viper, right?
Yeah, he's the Viper.
Yeah, in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I have a vague recollection of that. All right.
And it would also be good to have a Chilean actor have, a main role in a movie. So it's gonna be maybe it doesn't sound that interesting to you guys that don't follow football, but I think that just to see, how much pressure these coaches have and how much a bad season can turn, how the president of a football club can turn on you if you're having a couple of bad matches. So it's going to be like sort of a rise and fall until, I think I would say, his latest Champions League victories was back in 09-10. No, 09-10. So you're just going to have that part of the story because it's very interesting. So we'll have all of the ups and downs. Cause at one point in his career, he gets kicked from one of the clubs he's coaching. So then he goes on and goes to a football league that's people have been, doubting that's on the downfall and wins everything basically against one of his biggest rivals now. So I think it could be a really good story for not just football fans, but even people that don't maybe enjoy football, just to see, how he made it, although he has a lot of adversity.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Would you call the movie the special one?
Yeah, the movie is going to be called the special one.
Yeah.
In a conference, after he goes to one of these clubs that he got sacked for eventually, he's talking about different coaches, and then he says very arrogantly, "I think I'm special," and then he was tutored by the English media as the special one.
Oh well.
I was just thinking, I don't know how much in the detail you thought about it, because you love details just like I do. But have you thought about who would play the Spanish guy? What's
Pep
called?
Guardiola.
Yeah, who would play Pep Guardiola? I was thinking about Spanish actors in my head, and they're all too old. The actors.
Everyone is too old, so I haven't figured that one yet because it's kind of hard. But you have to have a Spanish tongue guy, or at least an English actor that can do great accent, because every good actor is English.
Did Mourinho ever have a quarrel with Harry Redknapp?
I don't remember that he had.
Okay, because I know exactly who the hell would play Harry Redknapp.
Christopher, are you following along?
No, not at all.
Me neither.
He also called a coach that's regarded as one of the most professional and noble coaches of Peeping Tom.
Oh.
and it's a French guy, so that would be quite interesting as well.
And it would be tons of actors that would play as well, classical football players as well.
Yeah, but it's not going to be about the players per se. I think, like the Damn United did, they never really showed the games. They showed more his reaction during the games with Brian Clough. Just the focus is just going to be about the results and him at the press conference and him interacting with the squad and with media.
Yeah, that would probably be the best way to do it, to kind of like steer away from
actual football.
Yeah, exactly. Because try to keep it as like a drama or a thriller, and not like making it an action movie.
Yeah. It's going to be character driven, so it's going to be more of a drama. Because I don't think Tom Hooper has done an action movie actually.
No.
So it's going to be very much. It's going to be a very talkative movie, basically.
Yeah. And it feels like one of. I'm just picturing it in my head, and it feels like a real prestige picture. So all the even minor parts would be played by really well known and classically trained actors.
That could actually represent the football players or the other coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
Portray them well, actually. But if you haven't seen The Damn United, I really recommend that movie because it's.
I have heard a lot of good about it,
and really good.
Michael Sheen is in the lead part, right?
Yeah, he's in the lead part. I mean, I would have cast Michael Sheen, but come on, you can't have him. And basically, Jose Mourinho is, I would say, very similar to Brian Clough. So I recommend that to get a better picture of what I'm trying to pitch, watch Damn United, and you know exactly what kind of movie I would want to make. It's basically Tom Hooper doing Another Damn United.
All right.
Well,
sure. Well, then it's my pitch. And I chose a video game.
Is it Crash?
No, it's not. Well, yes, it is. I'm sorry. No. I picked one of the few one of the few video games of the last 5-6 years that I have actually really enjoyed, and it's Wolfenstein, the New Order, the second to latest game, the first one of the new trilogy or whatever they're gonna do. I don't know. Have any of you played it?
No, I've heard it's good actually.
Yeah,
No.
it's the one that came out in 2014.
Is it the Bethesda one?
Yes, exactly. And the sequel came out last year, the New Colossus. But I'm gonna focus on the story in the New Order. Yes, because the thing with that game is that it's your typical first person shooter, with a bunch of violence and it's basically just you walk around and you kill people. But they have instead of Doom, where there's no story, which is also a Bethesda game, the new Doom. There's actually a really deep and very character-driven story at the core of the game. Because on the surface level, the game is about stopping not Hitler. It's called Totenkopf. That said, is the main antagonist in the games and has been since the games that came out in the early 2000s. It's always been Death's Head instead of Hitler because it's a little tacky to have Hitler as your as your bad guy. Where was I going? Oh, right. So the surface level story of the games is you have to stop Death's Head because he is part of that part of Hitler's army that were experimenting with supernatural stuff and trying to build robots and humanoid cyborgs and things. But in the games, they actually do it. And in the New Order, they focus more on the robotic stuff. So there's a lot of mechanical enemies and stuff. But anyway, however, the focus of the story is really on the protagonist, B.J. Blazkowicz, who is this. In the beginning of that game, he's this really battle-worn soldier. Because the war's been going on for a lot longer. It's alternative history. So I think it takes place in the beginning of the 50s, or if it's the very, very late 40s. And the Axis or the Germans are basically winning. They've more or less taken over the entire world because they have all these superior robotic army. So there's this last desperate attempt by B.J. Blazkowicz and his squadron to try and infiltrate Wolfenstein, Castle Wolfenstein, where Death's Head has his base of operations. And I don't know how much I should spoil. And yeah, fuck it, whatever. It's 4 years old. If you haven't played it, yeah, whatever. The thing is, though, you're thinking that this is a big part of his character, that he is so tired of war, he just wants it to end. But he's, instead of them defeating Death's Head, they are captured. His entire squadron is killed, and when he and one other person that survives are about to escape, he is hit by shrapnel in the back of the head, falls out of the castle, falls into a coma. He's picked up by a Polish fishing boat, and he is taken to Poland, where he stays in a coma for 16 years. And all of this happens in the game, and it's it builds character very well, which makes it very interesting, even as a movie. And he wakes up then in the early 60s, and thinks that the war must be over, but he realizes then that the Nazis have taken over the entire world. The war is over, but everyone's enslaved by the Nazis. So Blazkowicz miraculously can like walk around and kick ass, even though he's been like immobile for 16 years. But yeah, we'll gloss over that detail. He goes on again, though. He goes on one last desperate attempt to stop the Nazis, and it's your classic like hero's journey. He starts out as this reluctant hero who is done with the war, but then he becomes involved with it because, you know, there's a girl there, of course. He falls in love with the nurse that have nursed him for 16 years. Not 16 years, but a lot of the years. And it ends with such a classic like hero sacrifice, where he kills himself to save the world, basically, or to stop Death's Head. And so when you play the game, it is a lot of just a bunch of like gory action, but it's always this inner monologue he has with himself, like talking about he's having like flashbacks to before the war, when he had a wife and a family, and just how much has been lost during this war. Which I guess you could really like tell the story as a regular war movie, but it's more fun to have like robots, and they even have a base on the moon which he goes to. So there's a lot of over the top action, but there's also a lot of very like grounded and very like downtrodden drama in the game. And I think it's a very nice contrast to the over the top action. And I was thinking then, who could direct that? Who could direct like over the top action, but also infuse it with a lot of like human drama and make it work? And the only one I could think of was Joe Carnahan. I don't know if you know who that is.
No,
A-Team director.
Exactly. He directed A-Team. He directed The Grey. He directed, one of his first movies was Narc.
Narc is so good.
Yes, exactly. And he directed a movie called Stretch with Patrick Wilson in the lead. And he has done a lot of like zany action. He did a Smokin' Aces, another like over the top action thriller.
I actually like that one.
Yeah, it is actually pretty good once you get past the cheesiness. But that's the thing. A lot of his movies are like the A-Team. It's very over the top, very zany, a lot of fun. But then he can also just completely switch over and do a very serious movie like Narc or The Grey. And then, well, he can also mix it very well, like he does in Stretch, which is a movie I recommend as well. I recommend all his movies. So I think he could do a good job with the style of that game. And it's also very fitting, because the voice actor for B.J. Blazkowicz in the new games is a guy called Brian Bloom. And it just so happens that Brian Bloom helped Joe Carnahan to write the A-Team movie. So they are already a working pair. They're friends and they've worked together. And Brian Bloom has a lot of like intricate knowledge of the character, since he's played him in 3 games now. There's a smaller game that they made on the side.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Google it.
Yeah, and he can actually write pretty good, like interesting characters in the A-Team, and he has played the character of B.J. Blazkowicz, so I thought they would work very well together. So I would the few changes I would make in the game or in the script would be that it won't start out as this like over the top action movie. It would actually start earlier in the war, almost like in the real World War II, where you meet B.J. Blazkowicz when he's a bit older, a bit younger, and you get to see him when he's more eager to fight, more like he's willing to sacrifice more. And as the movie progresses, he becomes more and more like disenchanted with the war. And I'm not sure. Maybe you should like split up in 2 movies. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was thinking that like the story that you described from the game, that I don't think that would be able to work in 1 movie, even like a 3-hour movie. I think it's too much story.
Yeah,
The 2 would be better.
Yeah, I think so too. So the first one focuses more on like the more real part of the war, where we get to know his character, and they sort of introduce this supernatural or over the top element, and then he gets this mission to stop Death's Head in the second movie. In the first like 10-15 minutes of that is when they're storming Wolfenstein, and then the rest of the movie takes place in the 60s when he sacrifices himself.
Or you could be like an asshole and
I was like,
making the when he's thrown out of Castle Wolfenstein, that could be the end of the first movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
the
good.
Exact same thing. Actually.
Yeah. So it ends on him like flying off the cliff. So it's sort of a cliffhanger. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the second movie starts with him in a coma.
Yeah.
That's like that's perfect.
But also then when you said he died at the end of the actual story.
Yeah.
So the second movie will also end with him dying.
Yes, but the thing is that it's a very long ending, and he's basically dead for the last 5 minutes. He just like he just accepts his fate, and he tells all the other people to like, oh no, leave, because there's a nuclear bomb falling on the place where they are. Yeah. And he's lying there. I won't say how, but he's lying there. His guts are spilling out of him. He's just killed Death's Head. But he's incapable of leaving, so he just tells them, just go. And then you see, the thing is, it's so well done in the game. He just lies there with a window in the background. You see the horizon, and you can hear them over their ear. But no, wait, we're coming for you. And then just goes to white as the bomb hits, and he just like finally finds peace in death. And I like those kinds of endings. So,
and then the bigwigs at Hollywood can come in and make a third one when he wakes up from a coma.
Well, that's what they did with the fucking game. Because the 2017 game, he wakes up and oh no, they actually went back and saved him before the nuclear bomb dropped. And they completely ruined the ending of the first game. So it's like, oh, thanks.
Why not just have another protagonist? I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's what I thought, because they were hinting at that Anya, the girl he falls in love with, that she was supposed to be the protagonist of the second game, and that would make so much more sense. But no.
I mean, even fucking Call of Duty changed the main character in their games.
Yeah, they kill like 2 protagonists in that Modern Warfare trilogy. It's great.
Yeah, but why did it just change the protagonist? I mean, now I'm really upset.
Yeah, so if you're gonna play the game, play the New Order, play the like expansion or whatever you want to call it. It's called the Old Blood, but just skip the new Colossus. It's not worth it. But anyway, that's my movies that I would make. Is Danny sleeping?
No, I'm still here. I'm listening.
I have a question. I don't know if you were planning on this, Tobbe, but could we just go around and ask everyone which of these movies, except your own, would you want to see?
Oh, sure. Let's start with Danny then, just to follow with the format. Which one would you want to see out of all our both the runarounds and the main pitch?
But you can't choose your own.
No, you can't choose your own.
No, but really, then I have to say, After Be a Wizard sounds really interesting. I'm actually gonna try and get a hold of the book, but because that sounded really interesting. It sounded like something that I really want to watch. It sounded quirky and interesting.
Yeah, and it is. He has written more books. Like it is a series of books.
Okay.
I think he's just released the 4th one, but I mean, the first one is like read that one and then you'll see if you want to see that. The first one is the best, obviously.
I just quickly, is it sort of, because I'm getting a lot of Terry Pratchett vibes from it? Is it sort of like his books?
It could be Terry Pratchett. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm gonna enjoy it. All right. Well, yeah, Christopher, which one would you pick?
I would pick Danny's the first one to run up. I don't recall the name of the book.
Assisted Living.
Was it that Assisted Living with
with
crazy pictures?
Oh no, that was the Starting Gun. That was my
Starting Gun.
Top film. That was my top film.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one I would choose, and that's the most interesting, I would say, because it sounded like a really absurd, quirky but kind of dark movie, and book. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabba, what will you pick?
Christopher's first
Of to be a wizard.
I mean, I'm just thinking of all of how good the cast would be with the nerds. I'm thinking like Martin Freeman, like everyone that was in Hot Fuzz, basically, playing these wizards.
I can just to set the tone. There is one of the wizards that's from the 80s, and he has made his house a skull, and he only listens to like AC/DC, and he pretends to be a necromancer.
Yeah, I would actually.
Oh yeah, and his staff just a stick with the 4 Kiss action figures bound at the top. That's his magic staff. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. I would probably pick that one as well.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a lot of fun, and yeah, I can clearly picture it as a Edgar Wright movie with all those actors in it.
Yeah.
Maybe the Crash Bandicoot movie as well, yours, Gavin, but also because I could kind of see it, especially Nick Frost as the floating mask.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just something about that I think could work, but definitely Off to be a Wizard. So yeah, I think that's it. This was a shorter one, but that's fine. And if there's any producers, I don't know, we had a couple of viewers before. If there was any sneaky producers listening, we want some sort of writing credit on this. Or if you're gonna watch in the future, we want writing credit.
Wait, so if they listen to this podcast and decide to buy someone else's work, we want writing credit for it?
Yes.
Okay.
We gave them the idea. We should be executive producers as well. Not writing credit. You're right. Not writing credit. We are executive producers.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine, I guess.
Yeah, because that's basically just throwing your name on the screen. You don't have to do anything. You just executive producer. Whatever.
I just want to add one thing.
Okay.
I think that all of us maybe agree on this. That the reason why nobody picked The Last of Us is that it would be so much better as a miniseries.
Yes, I agree.
I would say I don't pick it because I think it is the perfect medium already. I don't think it would work as well in any other medium than a game.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of I was thinking a lot of walking simulator games because there's usually a great story, but I mean, they need to be games to work.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. Just quickly, when I was at your place earlier this summer, Christopher, I played What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah,
which was this great story, but it would never work as either a movie or a TV show.
Yeah, because a lot of these small stories, stories overall, you need that connection and that choice to be made to give the weight in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like with the Walking Dead games, they work much better than a TV show because you're involved in another way.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of the same with The Last of Us. You need to be in the middle of that story. It could work as a miniseries, but it works perfectly as a video game. So
yeah,
but yeah.
But it totally wouldn't work as a movie.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Because you wouldn't have the time to develop the characters and get some sort of emotional.
No, exactly. That's why it works so well as a game, because you really get to know that character over 20, 30 hours. But okay, that's a wrap. And the winner is Off to be a Wizard. If we're gonna crown some sort of winner.
Yeah. So go read it. It's on Audible.
Yeah, well, okay then. I'm gonna check that out then. But yeah, thanks to everyone who listened for a while, and thanks to everyone who will be listening in the archives. Please give this a like if you liked it. Dislike if you disliked it. But either way, you should subscribe, because even if you don't like it, you can just hate watch us every week. It's fun, I promise. And we'll be back next week with a new topic. I haven't picked one yet, but it's like it always is. But until then, have a good one. So, yeah, bye.